Alright, we should be live. It is the week of April 26, 2020, and welcome to another live show here on the Game Wisdom channel. Each week we discuss game design topics, and hopefully my voice can survive the experience. I am Josh Beiser, and you can follow me on Twitter at GWBeiser, and we have our Discord and Patreon link down below. And my co-host is indie game developer Sharky. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. I had lots of fun last night with the Roundtable podcast. That was amazing.
Yep, that was a really solid topic, and we had a new guest, Jack Mamaeus. Mamaeus? I hope I didn't butcher his last name too bad. He was really good.
Yeah, he was. I think he was a good addition to the Roundtable.
Yeah, and I think the fact that, yeah, I know, I know about that one. The headset problems continue. Yeah, it is up in recorded form, El Gordo. I didn't privated that, so it is available for everybody. I'll be making some more tweets about it. But yeah,
do you think that was our best Roundtable yet?
Definitely a really solid one. I think Tomo and Tim have settled in. I think Jack just came in, you know, like a pro right there.
I thought you were about to say like a wrecking ball.
I'm not up for what the kids are up to there. This is not. Remember, my audience does not include anyone under the age of 10, according to the YouTube algorithm.
I think there's people over the age of 10 that listen to that kind of thing, or at least know the reference. I think there's a lot of people over 10 that know the reference.
Huh. Now that could also be. That may not be the camera, or that may not be my headset. That could also be YouTube. Like, they tell me, you're live. So I start the second I see live. But it could be you're live, wait an additional 2 seconds before I start talking.
Oh yeah, that's definitely YouTube, because YouTube does that every stream. You should probably give it a good 10 seconds before you say something.
The problem is if I wait too long, then it all started me just staring at the camera like this. And it's like, what's Josh saying? He's just staring.
Also, another thing is, like, you know, like if you watch the ads, you miss however much is the length of the ad.
Alright, well, in that case, I will wait 5 seconds from when I see live. So nobody better complain about Josh just staring at the camera at the start of every show then. But it has been, again, that very weird thing. You know, the world is shattering. We're going to be heading to apocalyptic times, but things seem to be going real well for our live shows.
Yeah, like, you know, and we've just gotten busier and busier the more apocalyptic it gets.
All the normies are now having to get used to remote working.
Yeah.
Yeah. The monkey's paw continues to close. I have at least 3 different casts scheduled for this week coming up. I'm going to be talking with Silas, because he wants to kind of have a discussion about Revan now that it's actually finished. I have a cast with developers of Hero U, who also worked on the original King's Quest series. And if you remember that Boy in Box game, the game from one developer, I'm going to be talking to him on Friday about designing that as kind of his first game.
I'm not familiar with most of those.
And they may have you may have lost that memory of it. You know how every week after the weird game segment, you block that all out.
Yeah, yeah.
You take the memory eraser.
The only one I remember is my personal nightmare.
And I can already tell.
My kryptonite.
My hair is also getting froier and froier as things progress. And if I heard that our state may not, they're going to announce tomorrow if there's only any plans to reopen. If we do reopen for like a day, I may have to rush, get a haircut, and then go back into my cave here for another 3 months.
Yeah. I don't know if I would do that. But, like,
if people like the fro, or it's being pushed out by the headset now, but if people enjoy it, we'll keep it, you know, despite what the family says.
Yeah.
But let's begin with some of the games that we've been playing. I've hit that point that I have so many games to play now that not even like the games on sale are enough to kind of like drive my interest. I was talking about that Fell Seal Arbiter game, the Tactics Ogre S game. It's on sale for $10, I think, until tomorrow, and I just don't know if I want to spend $10 on that game. Just like I played that One Step from Ian game, I bought and I returned it within an hour and a half of playing it, and I'm just hitting that point where too many games and too much work. So your game really needs to hook me if you expect me to pay money for it.
I think that's less what you said and more of those games were not as quality as they should have been, kind of thing. So, like, the Fell Seal, like, I was excited about that game, and then when we seen it, I was like, ooh, there is so many issues there with that game.
Yeah.
And, like, it didn't even matter the price tag. It's that they messed up things that they shouldn't have messed up, kind of thing.
Yeah. And to old girls, I'm definitely going to shave the beard. Like, I do not, my skin will start itching like crazy if this gets, full on beard there. Let's see. Yeah, and I think it's always that very weird thing about what people expect when it comes to playing a game. There could be a topic there, but I just don't know if that's a design thing or more of a philosophical. In terms of, somebody who buys a game expecting like the most amazing experience, somebody who's just looking for that genre fix. Because there are,
I think there's definitely a topic there, but not necessarily how you phrased it, kind of thing. More of how should you build your game based on the expectations of consumers, kind of thing.
Kind of like how we talked about last night on the round table about finding your audience for your game. Like, if you're going to build a super niche title that maybe only 30 people are going to like, don't budget $500,000 for that.
Well, I mean, if you budget $500,000 and you do it on a weekend, then you're good, right?
Yeah, but only 20 people are going to buy your game, so you better charge, at least $25,000 or $2,000, and then you'll be good.
You missed my point there about being under budget.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, yeah, there's a $500,000 budget, but we finished it in a weekend, so that it's only got finished under budget.
Yeah, there you go. Again, developers can finish any game in 2 days if they skip lunch and work nights.
Exactly.
It's a scientific fact, people. I mean, I don't know why Firaxis hasn't released XCOM 6 at this point. They should have gotten that done by now.
The XCOM 6? What about XCOM 256?
Yeah. I mean, why Final Fantasy VII Remake take 27 years or whatever it took?
Yeah.
But other games I've been playing, I've been enjoying Chimera Squad. And that, I think, is going to be a very polarizing game among the XCOM fans. People are already complaining, it's the SJW XCOM experience, or, this is not my XCOM, I want to kill aliens, and all that. And I'm enjoying it from a mechanical standpoint, but you can also kind of tell that this is budget XCOM.
Yeah. From what I could see is that it didn't seem like a bad game, but it definitely seemed buggy and kind of broken, and I'm really worried that they're going to go the same route of XCOM 2 and sell you the fix later.
Yeah, but people are just trying to find things to complain about the story, and Oh. Yeah, I've been noticing a bug where it doesn't allow me to click on spot. Actually, I have a very weird bug where all of a sudden I got like a free turn out of nowhere for a character who wasn't even their turn, and just like allowed me to beat the mission even easier. But yeah, it's definitely following that issue of, hey, it's a new XCOM game and there's bugs. And talking about kind of fixing the game, that's going to probably be a major point when we talk about DLC later in our show today. But in terms of news, again, everyone is still stuck inside, so there hasn't been too much on that front. But anything that you want to discuss, Sharky?
Yeah, there's been some news on the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, no.
Kind of thing, to where they have... Square Enix has apparently gone and the DMCA route and started DMCAing tons of YouTubers that have posted anything about the indie. Anything. Like, even if it's just a 2-second clip, even if it's just a screenshot talking about it, they're DMCAing all of it. And either one of two things. Either they're DMCAing it because, you know, they don't want the story spoiled, kind of thing. You know, spoiling a game that's many years old, or they're DMCAing it because they want to hide the fact that they have completely changed the entire story for Final Fantasy VII, and that they implemented like some kind of like time travel dimension crap, you know, and the full extent has not been revealed, but this is so pointing towards a, hey, let's completely change the story. And in this story, you save Eris. She never dies. We get rid of the main story point that was glowing from everybody, kind of thing. Like, everybody remembers it because of that point, kind of thing. And we'll completely destroy the rest of the story in the process and just, you know, just wreck everything that anything ever stood for. And it turns out that they actually, you know, that whole story bit where they, you know, messed up the story, they were purposely messing up the story on purpose this entire time. Oh.
I will have to say this. Again, I am not the Final Fantasy lover, but if they do change the story and Eris survives and all that, I'm going to be enjoying some tears of Final Fantasy fans yelling about that change, because I remember everyone, so many people have talked about that moment, you know, as like an emotion, you know, one of the most emotional beats of video game storytelling of the 90s.
Yeah, and that appears to be the exact route they're going, kind of thing. And either way, they are going in a complete opposite direction, you know. It's more like a reskin than a remaster. It's more like they took Final Fantasy 13 and reskinned, you know, Final Fantasy 7 on top of it, and then started making some bullcrap story about Final Fantasy 7 that's wrong, kind of thing. It's like they're trying to destroy the one thing that really made them famous. You know what I mean? It's like they're trying to bury themselves. Like they're trying to, you know, like, how do I say this without getting demonetized?
I don't know.
How they're trying to take their company and like destroy it, you know.
By the way, I'm going to be recording the shark rant, so if there's any dead air, I can just turn this on and we'll have like 40 seconds of shark yelling at any time.
We need a compiled list of all the shark rants about Final Fantasy VII, and then compile that into one video.
Yeah, I used to just have a button on my keyboard that, in emergency, activate Final Fantasy VII rant.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like they're taking notes from Star Wars, and maybe even going worse than what Star Wars did.
I mean, why can't they just do like what like all anime does, or like a lot of these shows? Like if somebody dies, just bring them back in some kind of side story or movie or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, they've just they screwed up so much stuff. And the fact that they're going episodic in this whole business model, and that they're
don't worry, you won't see that for at least another 30 years at the rate they're going. They'll get to that.
At this point, what I'm hoping is they'll go out of business before they're able to finish it. Because
the world may end before we get to that.
I don't want the world to end. I just want the company to end at this point. This was my favorite company for the longest time, and now I'm just wishing the company would end so that the remake stops.
Once they announce the World Ends With You remake, then I'll have my own rant.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see, but again, I have no love or hate for Final Fantasy, so I'm just sitting here on the sidelines, just watching everyone talk about it. But I'm sure it will. I'm going to put money down now and say it's going to probably win a Game of the Year award. I can just see it happening.
Oh, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But now, what I am happy to see is not all the fans have been sniffing that new Kool-Aid. You remember how we were talking about fans were going to completely rave about it and everything, and they were going to completely love it and everything, and then it was going to go down as the best Final Fantasy VII for a while, and then people woke up and then they went against it. Well, to my surprise is they've changed it so much, they went so far off the thing that not everybody's on that boat anymore. There's actually, several people that were really looking forward to it that have been surfing up the Kool-Aid all the way up until this point, and then they played it and they're like, So we'll have to see how it goes. But there's been so many people already mad about the remake kind of thing. And still some people are surfing it up, but we'll have to see how it ends.
All right. So in, I guess, super young people news, Fortnite announced that they had a concert with somebody named Travis Scott, who I have no idea who that is. And apparently they had 12.3 million people watching the concert inside Fortnite. Have we hit peak youth news with that one?
I think so.
A lot of things that all of us old people I have no idea about. Apparently my family knows more about who Travis Scott is than I do, but that's not really saying much in terms of my knowledge of pop culture today. I was watching people have been I was watching a Twitter GIFs or whatever it is of it, and it was okay. I guess the fact that the game is free, but people are talking about this will be the future of concerts, and I think Polygon wrote some kind of piece about it, and just seems like a marketing marketing to me.
It's the future of concerts during pandemics.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. I don't think it's the future of concerts. I think it's the future of concerts during worldwide pandemics.
Mm-hmm. They've had DJs, I think, do shows in Fortnite, right?
I have no idea.
I think I'm asking the wrong person for that information.
Yeah.
5 years.
Get your, 10-year-old niece or nephew on here, kind of they just answered that question.
I need to get my that kid who's my neighbor, plays all the Fortnite games, so what he thought of it.
Yeah, there you go.
5 years for criticizing Death Stranding. Well, it's coming to Steam when, next year? So maybe we'll see some thoughts about it then.
Yeah, probably.
But I think with that, let's get to our first topic. So, do you want to talk about explain the game or DLC first?
I don't know. What does the chat think? Do you want to talk about, DLC in fixing it or not fixing the game kind of thing? Or do we want to talk about what goes into the description of your game itself?
Mm-hmm. Let's see what the chat says.
I said tutorials, but that's not what the topics.
That's good.
Do we? I think we've done a topic on tutorials before.
We've done like several topics on tutorials. Let's see. DLC. We got one vote for that.
Which the DLC definitely applies to the XCOM kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Alright. Well, in that case, let's talk about some DLC. So, the reason that I brought this up is, well, we had kind of two reasons for it. The first one, for me, has been looking at games like Anno, and both Anno 1800 and 2205. So I recently got back into 2205, and I finished that one. Now I'm starting back over in 1800. And both games made use extensively of DLC. I think, I'm going to have to look this up really fast, I think they were the first Annos to go the DLC route, but it could have also happened in Anno 2070. Let me see. Okay, 2070 did have DLC to it. But the reason that I was talking about this is that with both 2205 and 1800, a lot of the DLC that they are doing is adding in new systems to the games, new ways of making it easier to play. And 2205 in particular added in a few systems, namely the Space Station DLC, that I couldn't imagine being the game at least anywhere near as easily without that DLC than if I were to try and play vanilla. And there's this discussion about should... I don't think I did. But should DLC be the fix for a game? And... why am I hearing an echo? Do you hear an echo in the background?
No.
That's weird. But should DLC be that kind of magic solution? And in response, should you sell that as the fix? Now, the last time we spoke about this, it happened around the time of Surviving Mars, when they released their last DLC that literally introduced an end goal to the game that it didn't have previously. And again, like, this is a very tough topic for what it means to work on a game long term in that kind of live service.
Yeah, and XCOM 2 had that issue as well.
And Firaxis has definitely gone this route in terms of their patching and their DLC. I remember this with, I think it was Civ 5, I think even with Civ 4. That what they often do is they will not release multiple patches to their games. Instead, they will kind of do as many bug fixes, as many updates as they can, and then sell it as kind of the big old fix, or it's kind of like one mega patch. But they'll also will save a lot of their major stuff for DLC, even if it means, you know, stuff that can inherently make the game so much better that you can't imagine playing the game without it.
Yeah. And, you know, will DLC, you know, should you put your fixes in the DLC? The answer to that is no. Roll the credits. Topic's over.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, it's they shouldn't be doing that kind of thing. Like there is a technical reason for it, and I can understand that reason, but that's not a reason to do it, kind of thing. The reason is preventing having a lot of different builds of your game, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You you build the base game, and then you go start working on the DLC, and then you're like, oh crap, now we need to go fix this thing, but we can't include the DLC that we've been working on, so we have to revert all those changes and go back to the other version and whatnot, which just could be easily solved by just branching off your paths, kind of thing, having one path of the normal game and one path for the DLC game, and then build those separately and only apply bug fixes to the first one, which will mean that you don't need to apply it to the DLC. Well, I mean, it'll be in the DLC version, but you won't need to apply it separately, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and tile, make it better. Yep. And you have to be really careful, again, about how much, there's no real rule for what you want to put in a DLC. We've seen, again, some developers go horse armor as DLC, as we remember with Skyrim. Some developers will add in brand new systems, brand new content, Binding of Isaac, Monolith. Some developers will release content for free, as we saw with Slay the Spire, and even Dead Cells for a time did that as well. And now they're going the paid expansion route. And
yeah, I think the big issue with me is most of the DLC isn't worth what you pay for it, kind of thing. And so I think I have literally bought 0 DLC in my entire lifetime. So unless it just came free in the game that I bought, kind of thing, like bought a Game of the Year edition, kind of thing, just because I didn't know about the game until the game came to Game of the Year.
Yeah,
like this is the only version of the game you can buy, so buy it or don't buy it.
Yeah, the one kind of DLC that I hate are the cosmetic flavor DLC. So they'll have packs around, dress up your character in a new coat, wear 3 new hats, that stuff. Unless it's bundled in, I am never spending money on that. And to Algo's point, some games sell solutions for problems. Some games will sell problems as their DLC. They'll introduce new imbalances to then force you to buy, to then spend more money. And again, we've had all those lovely arguments about LoL and Dota when they introduce a new champion and just how much powerful that character is. Now, some of that could just be players not getting good at it yet. Oh, there you go. Good, get Shark started on another rant there. And the problem, though, is that if that's your monetization model, in a way, it devalues your main game. And to give you an example of this, here's another one. So if you remember with Mortal Kombat 11, that they have the basic edition of the game, that, story, you get the characters, you're done. And then they had their super fancy deluxe edition that gets you the season pass with all their new characters. And again, their new characters have just, some people said they're just overpowered, they're broken, or they're just so damn good. And especially from a competitive standpoint, you want all of those characters, either to play as or to train against. So here's the fun thing. So right now, if I were to buy Mortal Kombat 11 on sale, Green Man Gaming saying they'll give it to me for $20. But if I want to buy the premium edition that comes with all that stuff, it's gone down to $75. It's normally $90 to buy that edition. Or I have to spend money and buy everything, piecemeal, which is $6 a pop. So it probably ends up costing me more money if I bought the normal edition of the game to get everybody's favorite term, the complete edition.
Yeah. I think there's a very hard line there where you shouldn't cross on DLC. You shouldn't sell fixes to people. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't give people meaningless content, kind of thing, like just a single hat for $5 as meaningless content. You should give them something that is their value. Now, if you gave them 20 or 30 different cosmetics, and here it's a DLC for $5, that might be acceptable, kind of thing. But just 1 or 2 things for $5 or even 99 cents. No, that crosses the line. When you're talking about, like, here's stuff that completely, is OP, and everybody else with the, pleb version of the game is going to suck because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a thing either. Oh, we didn't complete the game, but here's the completion, in the DLC. Yeah, should not be in the DLC. You should complete your base game, kind of thing.
And another point, if you fix an issue with your main game, do not put that as DLC. And I remember one of the things there's another thing that I think probably annoyed you about XCOM, that they adjusted the UI in XCOM 2 The War of the Chosen to give you the targeting previews, which was originally just a mod that they adopted in. And I don't think that ever made it into the base game.
Yeah, I don't know what made it to the base game or not, because I stopped playing it. Like I really wanted to love that game. I really enjoyed parts of it, but like the whole game breaking stuff just did not, like, jive with me. And then when they started selling all the fixes as DLC, I was like, yep, not happening anymore.
Yep.
And now that Chimera Squad is out, and I see all those bugs and issues. It's like, are they going to do the same thing and sell all those fixes to all those issues in the DLC?
Yeah. And I wrote
I instantly removed it from my shopping cart. I was so close to pushing that buy button, and it was already in my cart, and I was like, yeah, removing that from my cart. And what I'm going to do is wait and see if they actually fix it, or if they fix it in DLC kind of thing, and then wait and see that. And if they fix it in DLC and then they sell the base game and the DLC for $10, I might pick it up. Otherwise, I ain't touching that game.
Mm-hmm. And another issue is if you introduce, like, this is especially true of multiplayer-based games, if you introduce new systems or new elements to your game that kind of change that base experience, you can't sell that as DLC, because you're effectively, again, setting up that situation of, the haves versus the have-nots. Oh, you didn't buy the ability to do a double jump, so you're worthless to me in our multiplayer game. And Payday 2 was guilty of this when they introduced grenades, that originally you had to buy the DLC to just gain access to that mechanic. And it took them, I think, 6 months to a year before they gave everybody a standard grenade.
Yeah. That's just bad right there.
Now, going back to Anno for a minute. So, with the DLC, and I want to get your thoughts on this one, Shark, because this is one of those very weird, gray, very close to the line kind of discussions. So with Anno 1800, the game came out, and it's their best-selling Anno game to date. So they are up to year 2 of DLC. So there's a year 1 season pass, there's a year 2 season pass. I know you love that right away.
Mm-hmm.
And what they've done is that they'll do free updates that will either enhance or change the UI. But some of the content that they've added includes new biomes for the game. They've added in new systems. One of the first year 2 DLC that they've put out gives you the ability to build a palace that will allow you to further optimize and change your cities. And the second DLC will add in industrialization. So you can actually, one of the complaints a lot of people have is just how annoying it is to build multiple farms. So they're going to introduce the ability to buy tractors so you can enhance your farms and make it easier to do stuff. So on one hand, this is new content that was never featured in the base game of 1800. But on the other hand, it's stuff that's going to radically change and affect the base game. Like the palace and the tractor, this is not story DLC. This is not, we're adding in a new quest line. This is, new mechanics that are going to enhance the base game.
Yeah, that is very deep into that gray line right there. And it's hard to say one way or the other, but I would say that a good developer would not be on the line. They would go off of the line into the good part, kind of thing. And a bad developer would go off of the line into the bad part. It sounds like they are a mediocre developer and they're staying in the mediocre of the gray line kind of thing. So like I think that they should have included those two things in the base game, and then everything else in the DLC.
So what you're saying then is kind of give the mechanics, like the actual systems, as free, and then offer enhancements as DLC?
Pretty much. Not necessarily all the systems. But if it's a system that everybody is complaining about, if it's something everybody is complaining about in the first version, like they shouldn't be addressing that feedback in the DLC. You know what I mean? They should be adding stuff that people are not like complaining about. Complaining for a fix. They should be adding stuff that people maybe are asking for a bonus kind of thing. Like, oh, we would like to see this cool thing added. Like multiplayer. Because that can be done overnight. Or any other kind of thing. Like a multiplayer system would be, something that, as long as the game is not like hurting without it, something that would be acceptable for a DLC kind of thing. But like, if the game is like, oh, it's on a local co-op only, and hey, Steam doesn't have the local co-op feature, yeah, that would probably be something you would want to put. You would probably want to put multiplayer in your base game in that case. But like something that is not like people are not complaining about and begging for a fix kind of thing. If they're begging for a fix and everything, you shouldn't put that in the DLC.
Yeah,
you should put that in the base game.
And going back to XCOM, that's where that really weird line with War of the Chosen is, because on one hand they did save intentional fixes and issues for that DLC, but they also added in brand new systems that nobody was expecting. Like, not one fan was saying, what would make XCOM good? A Nemesis system from Lord of the Rings Shadow of Mordor. Just like nobody expected the whole meld system and kind of the augments that was introduced with Enemy Within. And in those cases, the DLC turned that into the definitive edition of those games. But, like we said, if people are complaining about something and you introduce a fix to it, that fix should make it into the baseline experience. Another good example, issues with like World of Warcraft. Like, I heard they're finally fixing, or they're finally improving the early game, like the first like 20 levels of the experience. And that better be free. Like, that better not be included in an expansion.
Yeah. Like, and when we're talking about fixing your game, we're not just talking about bugs or whatnot. We're talking about like, if people are complaining that this part of the game is annoying, and you go to fix that part that's annoying, don't sell that fix in a DLC. Put that in the base game.
If you create a new game system, like, and again, this is where that gray line comes into play. If you create something completely new, completely original, that was never mentioned, referenced, hinted at all in your base game, and it does improve that, then I think that would be fair to sell that as DLC. Like, if your base game is great on its own, and this DLC makes it better, then I think that is more on the fairer side.
Yeah. The only time that you want that it has to not be a DLC is when you're fixing what's broken with the game. Not when you're making the game better. I mean, making the game better is something you absolutely, could consider for DLC kind of thing. But things that fix what's broken, or what's messed up or what's missing, like with what was it? What was the game, the multiplayer focused game with the Iron Man suits? AAA.
Not Warframe?
No, not Warframe. The one that crashed, that had nothing in it.
Anthem?
Yeah, Anthem. Like DLC for Anthem would have to come long after they actually had Anthem, an actual good game kind of thing.
But I think the issue, again, why this gets into such a gray area, is that as a developer and as a consumer, you may have different opinions as to whether or not your game is finished or, problem-free. And somebody may argue, this DLC is so amazing that, I shouldn't play your game without it. Even if it adds in brand new systems. Again, this is the XCOM argument and why it's so tricky. That War of the Chosen, for the systems they add, it makes it the definitive XCOM 2. Like, everyone who's played it has argued, this adds so much of that game, you really shouldn't be playing it without it. And on one hand, that's what good DLC is. It makes your game so much better that you can't imagine playing without it. But on the other hand, if it's so definitive and so amazing you can't play without it, why are you charging me an extra $30 to $50 for it?
Yeah. And Mr. Elrude, asked a question, what about the budget, the development cost?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the thing, is if you fix stuff in your base game, guess what? More people will buy your base game. Which also means that when you make your actual DLC, more people will buy the DLC because nobody's going to buy your DLC that doesn't own your base game. Mm-hmm. So it is in your best interest to do that, unless, of course, the game is just completely dead kind of thing. And that's a completely other topic. If your game is dead, should you, add more to it kind of thing. That's not a DLC discussion right there.
Mm-hmm.
I only sold 27 copies of my game. Should I do a DLC on it? The answer is no.
And again, it's always that. This is kind of like that issue that we've ran into kind of with modern game development. The monkey's paw, once again, the finger is closing down. That on one hand, live service or games as a service means these games are supported for months and years on end. And they change dramatically over that time. But the problem, of course, is what happens with version 1.0 of those games. Like as we've said with Chimera Squad, with XCOM, that it's a good game to begin with, but there are very obvious bugs and issues with Chimera Squad. Again, when we were playing it on stream, at one point the camera zoomed inside a character's head and I was seeing inside her skull for the tactical cam.
Yeah. I think new mechanics and everything is fine. But, you have to do them in such a way. Like let's look at like a different kind of live service, like a Hearthstone, mm-hmm. or a Magic the Gathering, or Project Red for that matter. Like, new sets of cards come out, and they have new mechanics and everything. You can still use the old cards, but like you're going to get new cards anyway if you're playing, because you're going to get free cards and everything. So like, I don't really see an issue there with introducing new mechanics that change the system, because like the entire game is going to change anyway as a whole, and it's not that you're limited to one part because you only bought one version of the game. Let's hopefully that Hearthstone isn't going to start selling, if you buy this version, you can only have this one set of cards and you have to pay DLC to get to have the option to get the other buying the other cards.
But the problem and the argument over that route, of course, is that if it's a competitive style game, then you're going to need those cards as quickly as possible. And again, it leads into that digital arms race that we see a lot of multiplayer-focused games get. You know, we're going to release 5 new guns, and those guns are going to be the best guns in the game. So if you want to stay competitive, you got to give us $5. And then 2 months later, we're going to release another 6 guns. So now they're the new guns. So you better give us another $5.
Well, that's the difference between adding something that is undoubtedly better and something that is just more but different kind of thing, which I think is what most of the cards game do. You know, Hearthstone on the other hand, you know, they've had some, you know, hand wavy measures kind of thing, so they may have done stuff like that, but like you don't see that kind of thing in like Magic the Gathering kind of thing, because they're going for a balanced set. They're not trying to upset the balance where you know, Hearthstone never had a balance kind of thing. So theirs is always skewed towards pay to win kind of thing. So like I you know, but like in like a you know when you're giving people other guns and everything that are distinctively better, there's no reason to own the lesser guns, and obviously that's bad because that's pay to win at that point. But like, if it's different and new mechanics and everything, and if you're also getting some of it for free anyway and going to continue to get more of it free, it's a completely different issue kind of thing, a different scenario right there.
Now, I think another point that we have to bring up when it comes to DLC is the frequency of it, because that is also another major factor. I think, again, why Firaxis, especially with their DLC for XCOM 1 and 2, kind of get away with this. And even with, and I think also with the Civ games, that they don't release, you know, tons and tons of DLC for their game. And I know Mr. Over brought up Stellaris and Paradox, and we got to bring them into this discussion in a minute. But with Firaxis' model, we don't see tons and tons of it. Again, they kind of focus on compartmentalizing their DLC. They're not going to release 10 pieces of DLC. They're going to release, you know, 1 or 2 mega patches or mega bundles of DLC content. So I think we've said this before, that people don't like seeing tons of DLC on a game. Like, they don't want to go to a store page and see, this game is on sale for $10, and then here's $565 worth of DLC. Even if it's, you know, miscellaneous, you know, it's a music patch, it's, you know, 5 buttons your character can wear differently on their shirt. I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah, I know that if I go to the store page and I see more than 10 DLCs, I ain't buying it. Just hard, cold facts there, you know? Because it's like, I'm not buying the DLC, number one. I'm not going to buy it. And I'm not also going to buy a very, very incomplete game.
Yeah. And that is, again, that double-edged sword of when we talk about DLC and live service. That your game at the beginning could be amazing. It could be bug-free. It could be a completely perfect experience. But when you have 2, 3, 4 years worth of DLC, you know, all lined up, that creates a different experience for your game. I'm looking at Payday 2 right now. You were talking about 10 listings. They have 57 listings of DLC. Now, a lot of that, of course, did become free and integrated fully into the game. But there are a lot of 99 cents, $1.99, $2.99 DLCs on that page. And here's our question. Let's see how good people are. Can you guess the amount of DLC that's going to be on the Train Simulator page? Here, let's go. Let's see. Who can guess how many listings there are on Train Simulator 2020?
I know the answer, so I'm not going to.
All right, we
or
have
not 2020. I don't know the answer for the 2020. I know the one for the older one.
well, we're on. Well, 2020 is the newest one, so you can play along, Shark. How many DLC listings? We're not talking about the value. We're talking about the number of listings on their store page.
For 2020?
Mm-hmm. It's like The Price is Right.
Well, then I'm going to guess $1. No.
All right, Mr. Elroot said 300. So the actual number is...
Hold on.
What?
I'm guessing... I know there's no way it can be less than 250. There's no way it can be less than 250.
All right, the actual number...
I'm going to go with... They've only had a few months.
It all came out...
I'm going to go with 427.
All right. The actual number is 578. Now, here's the very weird thing. I think somebody messed up on the release date. It says it was released July 12, 2009. So either they are really ahead of the game here with 2020, or something's not right.
Yeah. It might be that they repurposed a game they retired.
Yeah, they could just be keep updating it and then just changing the name of it, kind of thing. It's the 2018 edition now. It's a 2019 edition.
Well, supposedly I can do something like that with the Chromasia because, like, supposedly I can get that slot, that $100 slot that I paid for, and put another game there. Mm-hmm. And that I don't know if that would change your release date or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I don't know what that'll change. I'll have to actually talk to Valve themselves and, on that kind of thing when the time comes. And sadly, I probably won't be able to share that information because it'll probably be behind a non-disclosure kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And again, like, as we've said, when we talk about, like, this amount of DLC, we, of course, have to bring in Paradox Interactive. I mean, Paradox has made, their name and fame on their post-release support. Again, every time we bring them up, we will, of course, have to mention that the fans pretty much agree that you buy a new game, you buy a new Paradox game at launch, and then you wait 6 months to a year before you actually play it, because by then they'll have all the DLC and patch fixes in it.
To Elrod's thing, about the licenses, in theory, there shouldn't be an issue. They shouldn't have to pay a license for real life training because there was a recent court case on some military game. I can't remember what it was. It may have been Call of Duty. It could
have been about the Humvee, right?
Yeah, it was. I think it was about the Humvee. Somebody was including, I think, a Humvee into their game, and it was a real Humvee and everything. And there was a court case over it, and the developer won because it's a something that is real in the real world, and if you're going for a game with realism, you should be able to include stuff from the real world kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, like, anything that is real world kind of thing, it did set a precedent. And, so anything that is in the real world, you should be able to put in your game.
If your game takes place in the real world, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, I'm not a lawyer, so, like, you should definitely look into the very specifics of that case and research that case if you want to do that. Because I don't, and also the other point is, even if you're completely in the clear according to that case, I would make sure to have enough money to go to court for a while. Because, like, if you're putting, let's say, Lamborghinis and all these other cars in your game, and I remember Gran Turismo officially licensed those cars and everything. if you put all those in your game, those guys are going to likely sue you, kind of thing, and you know, they will be able to drag out that court case for a very long time. So be careful with that. You know, it's not the, you know, it's sometimes not the winning or losing that is the issue. It's how long it takes to get there.
Yeah. Oh, and here's a bonus game dev tip. Don't release DLC of your game featuring copyrighted characters from other games. It will not go well for you if you don't get that license.
Yeah.
So I pulled up Stellaris, and again, Paradox Interactive is kind of they're the anomaly for these kinds of discussions, because on one hand, they do exactly what we were just complaining about. Their DLC and expansion to their games are considered, you know, what makes these games work. They will release patches and updates for years and years on end. But they are celebrated by their fans for it. And again, I am not the Paradox Interactive. I don't play their games, so I don't have too much in-depth knowledge on them. But why do you think they get the free pass among their fans for this?
I don't know. Like, why does EA get the free pass?
Yeah.
Why does a lot of these people get the free pass? It's you know, I don't know the specifics, but I know with EA, you know, they've basically indoctrinated their people, you know, to be hardcore fans, or giving them where, you know, it's either buy your sports game here or don't buy a sports game, and you only play sports games, kind of thing. Although Take-Two has sports games too, but, like, you know, they're kind of doing the same exact thing. So, you know, when you have two choices and they're both doing the exact same thing, there's not really much of a choice there. So, you know, but I don't know on anything about the Paradox. I think you said it was, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know anything about them. You know, I know that that Paradox does have some hardcore fans, but that's all I kind of know. You know, so I can't really answer on that kind of thing.
Yeah, the thing that I think kind of helps them is that a lot of their DLC is very much like they very much focus on like system exclusivity with their DLC. Like when they introduce a new DLC, I'm looking at some of the stuff they did for Europa Universalis. That when you have a new DLC, it will add in a brand new system, and that system will not be available in any other DLC. It's kind of like, again, like you're adding a new section to a house, and then that section is kind of exclusive in terms of what's in there. So that if I won, let's say, I don't know, let's say one DLC adds in the system that allows baking, for instance. If I want that system, is exclusive to that one DLC. If I don't want baking, I only need to buy that DLC, and it will never be featured in any of the other DLCs they release.
It seems like a decent way to add content to a game.
Yeah, going from a system new. Huh. Yeah, again, I am not the guy you want to ask about Europa Universalis or Stellaris strategy, so I don't know it on hand, like what they add in.
Yeah, I remember watching I can't even say the name.
Stellaris?
Yeah, I remember watching that, and I was definitely interested and wanted to get it, but then, like, I seen that, like, the game teaches you basically nothing. They really lack tutorials. And it's I was like, I'll hold off for when I have too much time. Guess what? That's never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Probably never will happen.
Yeah, when do you get that magical extra 48 hours a week? When do we get that update?
Yeah.
But I think with that, let's begin to wrap up for this section. So,
that's a very bad trademark. That's like EA's trademark of, you know, being scummy
and killing studios, like we talked about on the live show.
and killing studios.
So I think to wrap up this section, DLC should always add to your game. It shouldn't fix your game. And many titles, again, like XCOM, like Paradox Interactive, walk that very fine line. And you have to be able to introduce enough good to your game with the DLC in order to justify it.
Yeah, and I feel like 99.9% of DLC out there does not do that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very, very sad.
Like, and oh, excuse me. And I think here's the final thing I want to ask, and then we'll stop this, or we'll move on. Is cosmetic DLC, on the good or bad side of that line?
It depends on how much they offer and how much the price is. If it is just a single hat for $5, that's very much on the bad side of that line. If they offer like, oh, here's a ton of stuff, that you can have, and it's only $1 or $2 kind of thing, I would say there's probably nothing wrong with that kind of thing. But like the issue is does it add meaningful value to the game? Not game changing valuable, but like value to the people who's actually going to buy it. Like one hat, one costume, one of anything is going to add some value, but it is a fraction of a kind of thing. Like it's not worth even 99 cents kind of thing. Now if they're adding basically here's a closet, now you have basically your own custom character creator kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're adding that level of kind of depth of cosmetics kind of thing, then yeah, I mean it's worth a few bucks kind of thing. Like that would add enough value for a few bucks, but not. But we as far as I know, we've never seen that kind of thing. We've always seen here's a single item, or here's a single costume set where it's a hat, outfit and shoes or whatever for and usually those are like $5 kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's not even worth $1 kind of thing. Like you need to add enough content there to be worth at least $1, and then sell it for only that $1. Or like there's so many games that I'm I like there's like several RPGs where they add a bunch of costumes kind of thing to it, and I see most of the costumes and it's like, yeah, like I don't like half of those, but there is like one or two I like kind of thing. But like every single one of them is like $1, $2, $5 kind of thing. And it's like, when you combine all those up, it's like that's like $100 or whatever. It's like, yeah, I mean if you packaged all that stuff up into one package for like $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 kind of thing, that would be acceptable, but not as $100. not remotely as $100 kind of thing. Like you have to give the player significant value, and you could say, well, there's the development cost of making the 3D models or 2D models or whatever it is. Yeah, and you make that back really, really easily. I think even on the high side, you could probably get, a full costume made for a character, in every way, hat, gloves, shoes, outfit kind of thing. Like, I think the 3D modeling on the high side of that is probably $3,000 or $4,000.
Mm-hmm.
And if you sell that for $1, only 3,000 or 4,000 people have to buy it. And if you're and when we're talking about on the high side, we're talking AAA kind of thing, or AA at least. and that kind of thing doesn't fly, because they break that up into 5 pieces, or or sometimes they sell it as one piece kind of thing for $5, or maybe they'll sell every individual piece for $5. It's just they'll make at the putting them each piece as $5 kind of thing. They'll make their money back just off of like 20 people buying it kind of thing. And when you're that large kind of thing, like there's no way you're selling less than several thousand of that at the messed up cost kind of thing. Like it's just poor kind of thing, like. And when you're talking about 2D kind of thing, like, again, you're not going to pay that much money for that. And again, that's kind of the point behind DLC, but you don't need to do it so hard. You know what I mean? The point of DLC is to get extra money out of your game kind of thing and spend less than what you make. But you don't want to spend, 1 cent and make $20 off of that. You do. Here's this one pixel. It costed us 1 cent to make. And here we're selling it for $5 a copy, enjoy it, and then 200 people buy it. And you just made, whatever absurd amount of money that would be, if you $10,000, $20,000 off of what took you 1 cent to make. Like, you don't want to screw over customers that way. You don't want to sell like a reticle for your game that is literally just a plus sign that took you like 2 seconds to make in paint.net or even MS Paint kind of thing. You don't want to take that 2 seconds of work in MS Paint and sell that for $1 to millions and millions of people. Especially when that's also gameplay affecting too.
Alright. But I think with that, I think they did sell aiming rails, and they got in trouble for that one too.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was referring to.
Mm-hmm. But with that, let us get to our weird game segment, and then we will talk about the challenges of describing or tagging your game, which will probably go really well with some of the games we're going to see for tonight.
Oh yeah.
Alright, let me pull up the demo here. Alright. So the first thing that kind of caught my eye is that apparently, I don't know what this game Brave Alchemist Colette is, but there's going to be official cosplaying outfits from they're using a cosplayer to do the DLC. That is a thing. And there's the full title right there for you. Oh yes, cheating DLC. And that's another. I think that goes in the option of selling fixes or things to your game.
Yeah.
Let's see. I did get a press key for this game from the developer.
Which one?
This one that's on screen.
Adapt a tank?
Yeah.
Or you want to adapt to the tank?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like something good for the spotlight.
Yeah. I'm not liking this UI.
Or maybe something bad for the spotlight. Kind of thing. Something good to put on the spotlight. Let's put it that way. Typical Russian quarantine.
And this looks like an RPG Maker game. Kind of?
Let me see it. It looks like they took an RPG Maker game and made some, some art for it. So it's not a low effort RPG Maker game. At least from what I can see. Pure
Soul, The Journey of the Witch. What? Wait, it's just an endless runner?
The main issue with the RPG Maker games is that they are the low effort, generally. It's a really good one, Draken. Maybe our best yet. It was amazing.
Here's a topic. I think we need to add this to the list. The idea of putting out prologues for your games. Because we saw it with that Legend of Keepers, we're seeing more developers do prologues as kind of a marketing strategy for their games.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Gear. I do love it when the marketing goes, this is a fast-paced, turn-based game. You gotta make those turns really fast.
No, I mean, we're talking about the prologues. We're talking about they were put out for free.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna put in a key for this. Maybe
you're gonna put in a key for that?
Or,
you're gonna give them a key for it?
Yeah. Oh no, I gotta create an Xbox profile? No, I haven't done that in like 10 years. Probably more than that at this point. Fields of Glory. Why does this sound familiar? Is this a... Oh, this is a remake or a remaster of an older game. And look, there's Napoleon.
I wonder if they messed it up as bad as Final Fantasy VII Remake. No. The answer is no. They did not mess it up that bad.
And they actually got... Yeah, this is definitely a remake, because Microprose does not exist anymore, as we talked about last night. Moving out. Why does that sound familiar? So many games people keep sending me stuff about. I did get a press key for a Warrior Orb, so I've added that to the list.
For what?
Warrior Orb? This one.
Huh.
I swear we looked at this game before.
I don't remember it.
The developers, not yet. Nobody's made this game yet.
Not yet, at least.
Mm-hmm. Biomass. What's this? Smelling world, fast-paced combat. Ooh, dynamic boss fights.
What's that? Mahoove Arms or something.
This one shows some promise here. I like the backgrounds.
Yeah. I'm a little worried about it, but it does have promise. It does have potential.
It's always weird, like a lot of the pixel games go for like no face, there's no facial details on these characters. They're just squares.
I mean, you have to when they're going so low res kind of thing.
Alright, I'll request.
That's part of the reason why we went with a higher res on our last game.
Alright, what is this? Anime-inspired character action hack and slash. Tell us a story of a magical girl paramilitary group. I think that describes almost like 50% of animes out there, right?
No. It does not. This looks interesting, what I'm saying.
Oh, there's base building and socialization.
Ah, well, this could be a good one.
Let's see. That's a weird art right there.
It's given very much a whatchamacallit, Neo.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of feel to it.
I'm pretty sure there's a D-mod in this game playing it from some of these screenshots.
I don't know about that. Although YouTube will demod literally anything.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'll put in 4 and see what happens. Let's see. This is one I think Ogoro was telling me about. Yeah, Japanese style FTL roguelike.
Wait, what? That doesn't look like a rogue. That looks like a tactical RPG.
Tactical combat, randomized events, permadeath.
Could be worth checking it out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the rogue, the FTL in it.
Could be with how a lot of people say FTL like when they give you like a branching path map.
I guess.
Barn Finders, the pilot? Okay.
I would say that'd be more Slay the Spire kind of thing.
The DLC for Remnant. Well, I didn't get a press key for the game. Maybe they'll give me a key for the DLC. Oh, there's a lully line. Fight insanely difficult bosses. That's just what I want to do. Well, I am a masochist, so I think that does work.
It sounds like a game for Josh.
Purple Saturn Day? What the hell is this?
Good question.
Why are these screenshots so small?
It looks like they took a game that was very low resolution and then just applied a border around it.
Yeah, I think this promoter, this Ziggurat, is re-releasing and remastering some of these older games. So that says 1989, if you can make out the copyright date.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how much they're selling it for?
I think Draken's lagging behind on the stream.
Beyond the Underworld. Looks like a story-driven game.
Yeah, looks like a walking simulator.
I heard about this one. I think I saw in the Epic Games Store. It's a tactical RPG where you fight Lovecraftian monsters. Oh, it's done by Zen. Of course, that's why I heard of it. Zen's been really branching out from their pinball.
Yeah, he's done now there.
I am very nervous to click on this one.
Which one?
Right here.
I think you should click on that one. I dare you to click on that one.
I learned my lesson the last time.
Last time you told me you asked me to dare you. This time I'm daring you on my own. It's a completely different thing.
Pay me in colors. It's like pay me in exposure.
Yeah, I guess you're gonna have to start paying. Paying people in colors.
40+ levels.
Yeah. I'm looking at the screenshots and it's like, yeah, I doubt I would finish 2 of them.
Little bunny. Bacon Quest. I think I got that game a long time ago. Shank and Bake. Tentacle Manor. Let's see. The Pepper Prince. What the hell?
Tentacle Manor.
What the hell is this?
It's a Pepper Prince.
Episode 5. Dungeon Scavenger. I was not expecting that from that thumbnail. This art looks like it's all over the place.
Yeah, it does. Here you go, El Gordo.
I don't know. Dominant.
What about Pancake Seller DLC?
What? Did you enjoy? Okay. Oh, I hope they add multiplayer to the DLC. Didn't we just talk about that?
Yeah.
The Strange Story of Brian Fisher. There's a title. To the Edge of the Sky. What is this? Alright, it is a... Oh, good. It's definitely a visual novel game. There's additional books planned in the future. How many words do you think are in it?
567,248. You can quote me on that.
Racing, maybe. What? Right now, this game is free to play. It may not be like this forever. That's good.
Looking at that one screenshot, it's like, oh, God, that looks horrible.
How about this one?
Haven't seen it yet.
Ooh.
It's nowhere near as bad, but like...
Oh, what the hell? They include their Unity code as a screenshot.
Did they run out of screenshots that they had to screenshot Unity at that point?
Oh my god. What the hell is this?
So as a jumping in point for our next topic, don't when you're doing your description, don't put Unity screenshots in your store page description.
Let's see. There is a way.
There might not be.
No. Non-linear plot that you create yourself. That's good. So you're... What?
What is that fourth screenshot? That's like just completely different art.
Yeah.
Okay. This feels like an asset flip at this point.
Atlantis Royale. Aliens love beef. Love beefs. I'm sorry.
Beefs? Not just one beef, but all the beef?
There's a really good thumbnail. Look at this. In the search for revenge, I can't even see the words of that thumbnail.
Yeah. Like the one above that.
Mm-hmm.
Bumble.
Oh, here's something. Sure, I know you're going to love this. In the search for revenge is a very short first-person shooter game, intentionally unpolished, abstract, and odd, with no dialogue and little to no music.
Yeah, how many red flags did he just read out?
Well, how many words was that? I think then times it by 3.
Yeah, pretty much. Take the amount of words that were just said there, and you multiply that by... That's about how many red flags it was. Okay. Exactly. Marketing your incompetence. Or laziness, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you're shooting stingers out of your butt. Well, I guess that's what Bumble Butt is. Mobile.
Players don't care if you and I had this conversation with the nerd for the other day. Like, it doesn't matter if you leave it unpolished on purpose or on accident. What matters is that you left it unpolished, and consumers are going to eat you alive for that.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, not buy your game.
Way, so you can't see anything. Oh, good. It's a game about being blind. Except I can see a lot of stuff there.
Yeah. Intentionally buggy.
That's always what you want to include on your screen store page.
I mean, XCOM should start including that in their description page. Intentionally buggy.
Dragon and Weed?
And Bethesda too.
Mm-hmm. What? What the hell is this? Well, it's a visual novel game with audio immersion. That's good.
Exactly. Intentionally unfinished levels.
General Horse and the Package of Doom. There you go. Here's a really good art style.
How about intentionally, we did nothing but the start screen for the game.
Wait, that's not even art from the game. That's just a guy looks like building a bar. What the hell? Okay.
Is this supposed to be one of those what you call it games like Night Trap?
Yeah. Well, it says it's FMV. Replay value. Ooh, it's highly intelligent humor. Oh, good. Method acted. Many of our high-quality actors were never even given their scripts. Perfect. That's how you save money on writing. You don't write a script.
Exactly.
There you go. What the hell is this a screenshot of?
You know what? We need to make our own FMV game like this. We'll just record stuff randomly that has nothing to do with anything. No script or anything. Just record it at random places, kind of thing. When you do it, and I'll get several other people to do it, and then we'll stitch all those together into a FMV game.
There we go.
And I'll pay you in exposure.
How about color?
Yeah, I'll pay you in color.
The unique take.
Exactly, Oscar.
That could be interesting. Pay to jump. Find all the hidden Sharky rants. Yeah. If you watch the scenes in the correct order, you get a 20-second rant about Final Fantasy VII. And if you find them all, you get the special rant.
Yeah.
I'm kind of afraid to click on this one. Puzzle Pelgo. I did get a key for that one that we'll probably get this week's spotlight. Dungeons of Rika. Salt the Earth. What?
What sucks is I have to deal with the delay. Everybody else has to deal with it, but I've got to comment on it live.
It's an RTS, but it's not. So it's a MOBA. No resource gathering, so...
Maybe it's an RT-BA. Or MOS.
They're just describing a MOBA-style game. No resource gathering, it's only multiplayer. Players vote to balance the game. I'm sure that will work out well.
Yeah. Like, that reminds me of another... it's something I ran into on a specific Discord that I won't name. To where, they were like, there's a game ideas channel, and inside that game ideas channel, a lot of people seem to post, hey, it's a, game where you move, units on a grid, and you fight stuff, enemies in turn-based, and it has rock, paper, scissors as characters. That's my game idea. You just said that this is a tactical RPG with rock, paper, scissors characters. I mean, would that's not a game idea. That's just a theme in a genre. It's like that's not an idea for a game. That's a theme in a genre. Name a theme in a genre. Josh.
Aliens first-person shooter.
There we go. That's a game idea right there. Somebody make it and give Josh, at least 10% royalties on it.
This looks like it may have some potential. Action adventure RPG, tactical combat. I know they're really proud of this, but this kind of puts me off when they show me like an entire inventory of all miscellaneous stuff.
Yeah.
I think this does have some potential.
Well, they never said anything about, getting a cut or anything. It was just just here's a channel where you can list your game ideas. And it's like, that's not a game idea. That's a genre and a theme.
Wait, what the hell is this? What? Frog Fractions 2 Gleerman Groves. This is their DLC? Oh, Twin Beard.
I remember another one when I commented on one. He was, doing it in like 500 different, messages, not just, posting it all in one message. And he posted like the theme, and then he posted the genre. And I was like, well, that's just a theme and a genre. That's not really a game idea. And then he went and spelled out exactly what the genre. He's like, I'm not finished. And then he went and spelled out exactly what the genre was. And I was like, there was no extra information in there. That's still just a theme and a genre. You just spelled out what the genre is.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like Streets of Rage 4 is finally coming out. Looks like, April 30th. Huh?
Get a key for that.
What is the chance, though? That's the problem.
I didn't say don't get a key for it. I said get a key for it.
Let me just say to the developers, give me a key and it will work, right?
Well, I never said that they would give it to you. I said get a key.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you buy it or get it for free, get a key. Now, what is the odds? Is do it one way or the other.
Wait, what the hell? Wait a minute. We got super cute and cuddly critter, and now this one looks like he's being sniped by a robot.
Yeah, it looks like a completely different game there for like 2 screenshots.
The graphics look pretty good. I like the detail on the character. Let's see. Never heard of the studio, but that doesn't really mean anything these days. Oh, who is dancing? It's not me.
Who's singing?
Super Lobster Run. Gray Zone. What? The full game consists of 4 chapters, each containing 6 missions, plus a small bonus mission, so that's 25 missions. Thank you. If they add another 25, they'll have 50, and then they'll get double the money, right?
Wait, did they just mess up their own math?
Let's see. 4 times 6 is 24.
And they said 25.
Plus a small bonus mission. So there's an extra mission.
Oh. They did mess up their math.
Give me a key or else. That's how you ask for keys, right there. That's the best strategy. Hello, developer. Give me a key or else.
Yeah.
Fairy Fire, Defender of the Fairies. Alright, this will be the last page and then we'll move on.
That name has red flags all over it.
Mm-hmm. Black Silk Girl. Yeah, that one has 2. Suspicious Space Rose.
That font for Black Silk Girl has red flags on it.
Let's see, what's this? Single player, first person, sci-fi RPG.
What is Creator Adventure Legend?
This looks very generic.
Yeah, it does. Doesn't look bad, it just looks so generic.
Let's see, what's this?
Feels like they used a lot of assets.
Is this an idle game? Is it a city builder? Okay. What? This looks like a game editor that they're trying to turn into a real game.
It's a game engine?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Ooh. Wait, what? Oh, there's a lot of red flags with this one.
You know what we're missing on Steam? We're missing Unity on Steam. and Unreal.
Our goal is to create an MMO experience that rings true to how classic tabletop Dungeons and Dragons feels with weekly meetups. How do you guys make money? What the hell? Are you reading this monetization model?
We sell bonds which grant membership. The bonds are redeemable for 14 days of membership and can be traded to other players if you so desire. This means feasible to do in-game activity for someone who already bought a bond to trade with them. Bond is a payment for activity because means becomes a member. What?
And their goal is to have 500 monthly members.
That doesn't make sense.
What the hell?
Why aren't you guys doing early access? The way we view MMORPG, it's inherently as a service. So apparently this is an MMORPG.
Good.
That's great to do as your first game, right?
Yeah, didn't we just have that discussion?
Yeah, I think it was yesterday.
Yeah. Feels like forever ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's been forever.
Here's some. Look at these screenshots.
Ugh.
Thank you for giving the description there. What do you think of this game? Ugh. Oh boy.
You didn't even do the oh boy, you did the oh boy.
Wait, read the last part about the banning. We won't be supporting third-party clients and will consider this a bannable offense. But you can buy and sell items. Wait, you are free to give them away or sell them to other people. It also means that it's your responsibility to not lose your items in silly ways.
Yeah. If you lost your item while you were laughing, you know, that's your responsibility, not ours.
I
So
don't think
laugh while playing our game.
I don't think they're going to hit 500 members.
I'd be shocked if they hit 5 members. I'd be shocked if they hit 5 downloads and 0 members.
Alright, well, with that, let's get to our final topic. And we are going to be discussing about labeling your game and explaining it to people. Because as we saw over the last 30 minutes, there is a lot of games that have trouble with labeling.
Yeah.
And part of this, I think, is the marketing, and another is just being able to understand, you know, who your market is for your game. Like, if you're making...
what the general market is.
Yeah. Like, if you're making a first-person shooter where you're running around and headshotting people, I don't want to see RPG strategy adventure on your store page.
Yeah. And I don't think anybody, except for maybe, you know, like, I don't think anybody wants to see how many levels are in your game, kind of thing, as a bullet point, you know,
Yeah.
unless it's, you know, unless it's somehow meaningful. You know, you don't want to say, hey, there's 200 levels in this game, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You want to say, you know, you want to give them something meaningful. Now that I think about it, I think I did something like that in my last game.
Dun, dun,
Oops.
dun. Yeah. And like we've said, like, just don't make your game worse, or don't sell the worst aspects of your game. This game is poorly optimized. Like, people think, oh, I'm being cute and, you know, quirky by saying that. No, you're just driving people away from your game. Because, like, if I'm...
I included no enemies in this game. There's nothing for you to fight.
It's labeled a
no
fighting
reason
game.
for me to buy it.
It's a fighting game that has no fighting in it. We didn't include any characters to fight. Give us $15.
Exactly. Hey, this is a you know, fighting game, but we only included 2 different fighters. Or we only included one fighter, so you're going to have to fight against the exact same character that you are every time, and that's the entire game. Give us $15.
Mm-hmm. He went to check Doom. Let's see. What is Doom Eternal? Is it an adventure game? It's got action, masterpiece, great soundtrack, and FPS. Why is it an action game? Again, it's such a weird thing about people are just trying to hit as many tags as they can to try and, make the algorithm friendly to them.
You kind of have to with Steam,
Yeah.
sadly. What we need is a platform that does stuff better than Steam, or Steam to actually get their act together and actually not apply tags that are not legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
What you would have to do is either provide some kind of curation means where the curators actually apply the tags, kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
with the developers suggesting tags to them, kind of thing, or like just a hard limit on how many tags you can put in,
Mm-hmm.
and that hard limit not being 50, that hard limit being like 5 or less.
Oh wait, someone did add in the adventure tag to Doom Eternal. There we go, perfect. And it's story rich too.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And how much story is in there?
As much as they can fit between the chainsaws. Yeah. And it's tough. Again, as we said, it's very hard for a developer to kind of describe their game. Because again, we've seen developers, want to try and think outside the box. I'm going to build an RPG where there's no role playing.
Yeah. That sounds like an American RPG. What that sounds like.
Oh.
It's a Skyrim. And what do you call it? Like, I think BioWare makes a lot of them. RPGs without a story. You make your own story. Here, use this character creator, make your own character, and here do random quests. And there's no story. Just make up whatever story you want.
Another thing would be a game that's all puzzles, and they describe it as an adventure game.
Yeah.
Again, it's really about understanding what this market is and what you're expecting out of it. Giving me 500 puzzles is not giving me an adventure game. If it was an adventure game, there would be exploration involved. It's, again, where we saw that very, everyone calls their game an action-adventure game. When you can move around, fight, but you also have to solve stuff.
Well, see, it's an adventure game because, you have to explore around the map of 500 puzzles, and you have to explore into which one you want to go into.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it an adventure game, right?
Mm-hmm. Or, as we just saw, a real-time strategy game where you don't build any units or construct anything. Well, that's not really a strategy game then. That's a MOBA.
Yeah.
And again, like we said, you do not want to false advertise your games. Now, the big one that people, I think, die on that hill for is, roguelike versus roguelite. And, until I can get my third book out, that will still be an argument, I think. I'll have to sell that one myself.
You just have to sell a million copies of your book.
Perfect. Well, I'm sure a million people are watching this, right?
It's really easy. Just put the game out there, and put the book out there, and people will buy it. Just millions of people. You don't have to market it or do anything. Put it out there, people will buy it.
Yeah, of course.
People will buy it.
It's just that simple, people.
Exactly.
And like looking at some like these games that have become popular, I'm just like staring at their tags and their pages right now. Okay, so the Idle game, Idle Clickers, the Dungeons and Dragons one, it has a tag of nudity and RPG. Oh, it's an action game too. I think action and wait, it's an idler and an action game. That's perfect. Those two don't really work together, I think.
Yeah, that's like saying that
it's a turn-based first-person shooter.
The color's red, but the color's green.
It's blue-orange.
Yeah, there we go.
And
but if you know color theory, you know that both of those are brown, not blue orange, not because if you mix red, yellow, and blue, that's brown, and blue and green is green, or blue and yellow is green, and then red is red. So you got all three, so it's brown.
And we saw like how things got all crazy. Like speaking about like real-time strategy games, the idea that anything that lets you control units is automatically a strategy game.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for them to describe Call of Duty as best strategy game at the next Game Year Awards.
Yeah. I thought of a good analogy that's probably going to get us demonetized.
Oh no.
If brown is a color, you know what brown is the color of, right? Typically.
Yeah.
Then you're selling your brown colored stuff as something that's red, green, and red, yellow, and blue.
They'll make a. What about Call of Duty, the visual novel game?
Oh, there we go. We need a visual novel Call of Duty game.
I'm surprised nobody's made that one yet. But again, like one of the advantages of being able to think about your game like this is that you have to be able to pitch it to fans of this genre. So if you're telling me I'm going to market my game as a hardcore RPG, and on the store page I describe it as, a 2D platformer, or it's an RPG but I don't allow you to level up, get stats, or even customize characters, that's not really an RPG.
Yeah. I think another thing that like Steam lacks is like being able to classify stuff as elements. You know what I mean? Because a game could be, an action game with RPG elements, but it's definitely not an action game and an RPG kind of thing. It's an action game with RPG elements. And it would be nice if like a platform like Steam or whatever would have that kind of built in to where it's, you set the genre to an action game. It is an action game, but it has elements of an RPG kind of thing. Rather than, it's just all these genres. No, it's not.
Yeah. And I think it also shows, again, for like new developers, kind of like the lack of understanding of what these genres and what these tags really mean. Like, as we've said with the roguelike genre, that making your game to be forced to be replayed doesn't automatically make it a roguelike. Like, you need to be able to design a game to hit those same notes as we've seen from popular roguelikes.
Yeah. Well, they do know what tags are for. It's for people finding their game, so they just pick all of them.
Just put all the tags on your game. It's a cooking, dating, open world, MMO, sci-fi, fantasy, RPG, first-person shooter.
There we go.
There, I hit everything.
Now, I will admit that, with Steam, you need to game the system as much as possible, but you need to do it within realistic terms, kind of thing. And, I look for every kind of tag that I could use that did accurately, depict what was inside of our last game, kind of thing. Oh, I got to say it because we haven't said the word of the day today. Chrome Asia. There we go. There we go. So Chromasia didn't. We put in like dark story and RPG, tactical RPG, that kind of, and like listed as many things that were actually applicable kind of thing. But none of, we didn't put that down as a visual novel. I mean, it does have a dialogue system in there, but it's not a visual novel. In no way. But, put in there everything that was applicable, because, I mean, you pretty much have to do that because of the way Steam is right now. But don't list your game that's not a visual novel as a visual novel, or not an adventure game as an adventure game.
Yeah.
List it accurately and as many tags as you can, kind of thing. But only accurate tags.
Yeah. And like we saw, so many games being described as indie is another big one. Like, I don't think that is a worthwhile tag anymore.
Yeah. The indie genre. I mean, what is the indie genre? Well, we're going on to the indie genre, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, indie is not a genre of game. It's a type of developer. Just like AAA is not a genre of game. Let's see here. What else is in a genre of game? Jumping is not a genre of game. A platformer is, but jumping is not a genre. A theme is also not a game. So, like, your genre, like being cyberpunk is not a genre. That is a theme.
Mm-hmm.
Themes are not genres. Unless you're talking about a movie. But we're not talking about a genre of a movie. We're talking about a game. I mean, cyberpunk could be a theme of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But, cyberpunk is not a interactive theme, aka a game genre.
Yeah. Platformer is a genre. Cyberpunk is an aesthetic or a kind of art for your game.
Theme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and don't put your game as being story rich because you have like a tutorial in it.
Or 800,000 words of dialogue.
That means nothing.
Mm-hmm. I am curious. Speaking about tags and descriptions, how is Disco Elysium tagged here? It's an RPG. It's isometric. It's both an RPG and a CRPG. They could put a JRPG and it'll have the whole set.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an indie game.
You also have to remember that the tags are not just set by the developer, but by the fans of people who play it.
Let's troll everyone and put JRPG on Disco Elysium. But I think this is one of those topics that we could easily segue into talking more about, the indie tag or indie description. Is there anything else for labeling your game that we should touch on?
Well, there's a whole section that we have not talked on, and I don't think we're in a position to talk about it, but like I do want to hit on it a little bit. And that's when you're doing your description, you have bullet points which need to be full of meaningful content kind of thing, not just how many levels you have, unless somehow that is meaningful content in your game. You shouldn't, have that you have a working combat system. That's a bullet point.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have, the game has music as a bullet point. The game has a beautiful, epic soundtrack, on the other hand. That could be a selling point right there. You only want selling points. But don't lie in your bullet points, or people are not going to like you.
Yeah, and your bullet point should be able to explain to me what your game is, like, or at least like what is the gameplay of it. Like again,
more like what's special about your game.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a first person shooter, but what makes your first person shooter special? Well, here it is in the bullet point.
It could be a roguelike. It could have time manipulation. Like if you do something different with your game, something that nobody else has done, definitely put that in your marketing. Like again, my game of the day, Vision Software set. When I look up its store page really fast, it says right here, it's a 2D action adventure game. It allows you to revert time. Like, it's telling me what is... it's a time-traveling Metroidvania. I mean, that is definitely something you want to put in your game. He could have said, this is a platformer where you jump and shoot. That's almost every platformer ever made.
Yeah, I'm picturing the bullet points for the Final Fantasy VII Remake right now. Like we've added, it's Final Fantasy VII, and then the next bullet point we ruined the story for it. And next bullet point we've added time travel bogus crap to it that completely changes the story. Mm-hmm. We've next bullet point we've completely ruined the combat system. Bullet point 3 we've edited every kind of thing in there to the audience that is not going to buy the game, or any game for that matter. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that as a bullet points kind of thing. The other thing that we didn't touch on, though, was that it needs to be more in bullet points. You need like a descriptive paragraph kind of thing. You need headers. And what we mean by headers is like you include like a big font of the combat system, or something, and then you'll put a paragraph below what makes your combat system special, or like the story, so that users can just scroll down and see these big things, these big sections kind of thing, and then like any of those sections that that they feel interested in, they can read in depth on that one section kind of thing.
Yeah, like that the Japanese style game we looked at earlier that had everything labeled very clearly. Okay, this is the roguelike section. This is the Japanese mythology section. This is the art section. And again, anything that makes your game different or unique must be on that store page. So here's something. I want to get your thoughts on this one, Shark, in the chat. I'm looking at the Ori and the Will of the Wisps store page, and the very first thing that shows up is an entire sprawl of all the positive reviews of the game. I don't think that's... I want to understand why you do that as marketing, but again, it's not selling me this game. It's selling me that people like this game.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like, maybe if it won a reward or something, maybe that's worth putting up there. But, like, I wouldn't put people's reviews up there.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think this is a very bad store page for Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It's not... the only thing I get as a descriptor is from the creators of the acclaimed action platformer Ori and the Blind Forest.
I gotta look at this now.
Like, there's nothing on the store page that is selling me this game. They're selling it on the fact of Ori and the Blind Forest, or the first game. But if you're a new person looking at the store page, there's nothing here that would convince me, why should I buy this game? There you go. That's back.
Oh, jeez. That is real bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, for their About page, they only put the media, the Game Informer, IGN, Destructoid, their one-liners kind of thing. They only put their rating and their one-liners as like the entire store page.
Yeah.
If you get down to the bottom and then you get this one little paragraph that is the only thing actually important to it, and then that's all you get in that. Oh, they made so many mistakes with this store page.
And now, if you want the opposite of that, you know, the good example, go to the Hollow Knight store page.
I wonder what the first Ori game store page is like.
Let's see. Well, I think to Mr. Elroot's point about if it's working, their main warning point is more of Ori. The problem, though, is that every game is somebody's first. There's going to be somebody who has never played or heard of the first game, sees it on the store page, clicks on it, and goes, "What the hell is this game?" And again,
Ori's first one is pretty crap too. It just has like a paragraph, and that's it.
Let's see.
And it's very undetailed.
Yeah, there's nothing. Like, again, it was published by Microsoft, so you know they threw money into probably, you know, commercials, getting it mentioned on places like that. But there's nothing in this about this game section. Like, if I read that and had no idea what Ori is, it's like, okay, it's an actual platform. I've played several hundred of them at this point. Why should I play yours?
What's the value in this description? Anybody who comes to the Steam page that doesn't know about the game.
Yeah. And now go to
the value is selling games that is not that for people who come to it from Steam. You know, yeah. Steam promotes your game and will promote it the better it sells, kind of thing. And you know, people coming to the Steam page, you know, that are recommended this from, you know, hey, you know, so many people, you know, this is on your recommended list. You know, you should check this game out. People check it out, and there is nothing on the store page. The only thing that is here is screenshots in the trailer, basically. You know, and that goes for both the original and the new one.
Yeah. Now, the Dark Souls series is also pretty bad.
It sold well because, you know, tons of YouTubers picked it up because and tons of marketing dollars were put into it. You know, this is like, yeah, I mean, you could sell well by putting millions of dollars into the marketing campaign, but that doesn't mean it's good. You know, that doesn't, you know, you can sell millions of copies by putting very little effort into your descriptor page, your description. You know, it's not likely, but you can, and it doesn't cost basically anything other than, you know, the time. No, it's not working. Like, their marketing is working. Their Steam page is not working. Their Steam page is doing jack all.
Here's the very weird thing. Like, I'm noticing a pattern here. The AAA games that are on either AAA or published by a AAA publisher have some very horrible store pages. But the indie games that are kind of either self-published or published by an indie developer have really good store pages. Like, Hollow Knight is great. Like, this is a really great store page.
Well, I guess they're like, we're spending all this money in marketing. Who cares who comes in from Steam? We're not selling to them.
Yeah, and that is ultimately the point when it comes to describing your game, and why the Monolith one isn't that good either, I think. It gives some features, but definitely not as good as a Hollow Knight. That the point is that the store page is not for your fans. It's for the people who have never heard of you before, which, unfortunately for a lot of indie developers, includes probably 95 or 99% of the people on Steam. And
for everybody on Steam.
And you need to be able to convince somebody through description and screenshots what your game is and why should I give a damn about it.
Yeah, and from the Ori pages, if they didn't have screenshots and trailer in there would be absolutely nothing in there of value. I mean, the screenshots and trailer does go a very long way, but, you know, still, like, it doesn't matter, you know, at least to me, how good that matters if you not going to put anything on your Steam page.
Yeah, the Dead Cells store page is really good as well.
Because they don't care, or they don't know, or they're ignorant to it, or they're just,
they don't think it's worth it.
We could spend $100 in putting a description in there, but and that'll make us several, $30,000-$40,000. But you know what? It's not worth the effort. We'd have to hire somebody. We'd have to pay $100. We'd have to do work, and we'd have to actually put forth effort, kind of thing. And that effort is only going to give us $30,000. I mean, with 30,000 sales. I mean, even if I had to, brush my teeth one extra time in the morning, is that worth $30,000? Nah. I ain't got time to brush my teeth a second time in the morning.
The Resident Evil 2 page, I take it back. Not every AAA developer is bad. That one is not that bad in terms of describing what the game is.
What game is that?
Resident Evil 2, the remake.
Let's
see. What does it say about Resident Evil 3? And then the Resident Evil 3 page is horrible.
So they're not consistent.
Mm-hmm. That is impressively bad in terms of going from Resident Evil 2 to Resident Evil 3.
Yeah, I mean, rich people will literally wipe their butts with money. That doesn't mean that's a good thing to do. You don't want to make get a toilet roll of $100 bills and just wipe your butt with them. I mean, that's not what you want to do, and that's not what you want to do.
The Forger Steam page is also a really good one as well. I see this as kind of like with Kickstarter, that if you're
Kojima, you don't need to do much.
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, let's see what Undertale is.
Undertale is not good, but it's not horrible either.
It does describe it. It's better than some of the other examples. But as I was saying, with it's the whole Kickstarter point, that when you're making your store page, you need to convince somebody who's not a fan to give your game the time of day. Telling me, showing me a list of your achievements and saying this is a platformer. Okay, why should I care about your game? Tell me that fans like it doesn't help me buy your game. You have to be able to, and again, this even goes as far as this could easily be extended to marketing as well. When you email developers or email press or YouTubers, you need to be able to tell somebody who has never heard of you before, who is getting bombarded with games every day, what makes your game special.
And you need to tell them that in a very few words, because you don't really want to give them more than a paragraph.
Yeah. This is why GIFs are really good. Images. I need to be able to understand. Giving me 8 paragraphs of text to read doesn't tell me what your game is. It gives me a story. I don't want to read a story. I want to know what your game is about.
Yep.
And again, formatting is another big point. I like when store pages have bullet point lists. It's not just 10 paragraphs of words all bunched up together.
And you also don't want to, what is it, CCC?
Mm-hmm.
Where they see that you sent this letter to 5 million other people.
And I got that from a few press people. I got to see everyone that they emailed. And then those people just did a reply all, so I got their responses.
stuff you don't want to do.
Yeah.
What about like the CCC doesn't do that kind of thing, right?
The blind CC.
So there's two different CCCs.
Yeah. CC does everybody. Blind CC, you don't see it.
Oh, so it's BCC.
Yes. And I've learned that because I've emailed so many libraries and places. See, all these library calls and stuff have really helped my knowledge.
That said, when you're emailing, YouTubers, you probably don't want to BCC either. You probably want to, actually be aware of what's going on with them, kind of thing, and send something personal, which is a lot of work. A lot of work.
Again, like, some people will look at a game if other people have looked at it. Again, if PewDiePie or Markiplier covered your game, you're probably going to say that on bullet point 1 or the very first thing on your game.
Played by PewDiePie?
Yeah.
Played by the pie?
There you go, exactly. You should pitch it as a marketing point. Maybe he'll hire you.
There we go.
He'll look at Chromasia for you now.
Yeah, there we go.
It will retroactively make that game a bestseller.
Exactly. Even though it's no longer for sale, it'll still sell amazingly.
Yep, just because PewDiePie played it.
Yep. There we go.
And again, I think another point, again, is about what is the overall marketing you're doing for your games. Obviously, a reason why Cuphead, Dark Souls, Resident Evil don't do a lot with their marketing is that, or for their store page, is that they do marketing in other places. Like there are TV advertisements for Resident Evil 3. I don't know, were there ever any TV advertisements for Hollow Knight?
There was definitely YouTube advertisements.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be.
So again, some people will, like, they will focus on different aspects of it. But if you are a new developer starting out, you really need to pay attention to how you're describing your game to people.
I would say if you're any developer, you need to really do that. And, like, even AAA kind of thing. Even, indies published by AAA, I think every developer needs to pay attention to the description, the store page, and everything. It's, because it's only a benefit if you do it right.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't cost a lot of money to do it. It's potentially free if you do it yourself. As free as your time is, it'll take you a few hours to do it, kind of thing, to do it right. But, like, if you love your game, if you're passionate about your game, it shouldn't be pretty much work at all. It should be like, for the most part, it should be, I'm talking about my game, and you like talking about your game. So, yeah, I'm in. Emailing YouTubers, on the other hand, I don't know anybody who likes emailing YouTubers.
But I think that is a topic for another day. So I think we'll wrap things up here. I got family sneezing all over the place now. That's probably a good time to wrap things up. So,
Yep.
I think to end this topic, again, look at what other people have done for, like this again, as we talked about on our live show, or on the roundtable, do research on games of the genre. See what other people are describing, and see if you can either do something similar, or see if you can put a different spin on it. Like, if you let's say you're building an RPG and you look at another RPG store page and see, okay, they describe their game as, hard science fiction with aliens. Well, I'm going for steampunk driven, I don't know, zombies. Well, that would be something unique that you can say about your game.
Yep. You want to tell what's special about your game down there. Like, you have the genre top. You don't really need to list those back out again. You need to tell what is different about your genre of game.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it not your standard, X genre? Why is it not your standard, FPS? Why is it not your standard RPG? Why is it not your standard, roguelike? Why is it not your standard roguelike? Why is it not your standard, whatever genre kind of thing? List it. Put bullet points if it's special kind of thing. Like, talk about it. Don't make it too wordy. And definitely section it out with big headers kind of thing. But, tell people what makes your game special. Why is it not just your standard whatever genre?
Yep. And I think that will be our point to end on. So, we're going to wrap things up for this week's live show. Again, if you'd like to follow me, I am on Twitter at GWBicer. You'll find links to our Discord and Patreon link down below. And we do these every Sunday around 4 p.m. EDT. And of course, look for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.
Yeah, and you can follow me on Discord or Twitter or YouTube. Preferably Discord, because that's where you'll get the most out of me, kind of thing. And those links will be in the description. And also stay tuned for something coming to my YouTube channel and this YouTube channel, the Game Wisdom YouTube channel, our new series that's coming up, where we tell new developers exactly a lot of things they need to know. And it'll be a long, long series, because there's a lot of things you need to know as a starting indie developer.
Yes. Well, hopefully trying to get a recording of that for Tuesday, and then we have to do our own fancy editing and get that up on our respective channels.
Yeah, it'll be a lot later than Tuesday when y'all see it.
Yeah.
But hopefully we get the first recording done Tuesday. We still got to get the name nailed down, too.
Yep. Alright, but that is going to do it. So, I will be back later tonight for our regular game streaming, and look for those devcasts coming up over the following days here on the channel. And come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and I will see you all later. Take care, everybody.
Oh, and if anybody missed it, check out the roundtable from last night. It was awesome.
Yep, definitely do that. Alright, everyone, have a great night, and I will talk to you all later.